Hello and welcome back to the channel. I just thought since I had some mystery boxes, I'd open those up, and then I just wanted to talk about the stuff that kind of is going on, like has been going on since 2019, like the end of 2019. So like why I'm like away a lot, and I'm not always updating a lot because I do know that I have a decent amount more followers. I can't believe that I think I'm like what close to 100 now or something, and I'm like I don't know why y'all want to watch me, but I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, so I have some blind boxes here. I have two of these ones, and I have this one. And then they gave me a free one of the Seder Rory. So, open those. But yeah, while I'm opening these, I just wanted to just talk about stuff because I know, I'm sure there's other people in my boat with the same or similar boat. And it's just nice to, like, you're not alone and everything. So, in 2019, the end of 2019, I had injured my ankle. Oh, there's a piece of metal in there. But I had injured my ankle, and I had also I had an old injury on my ankle, so like I had gotten a foot brace for my ankle ages ago, when like we first moved to the area, and I was working in Boston, and so I had injured that again, and then I also injured my arm. So like this arm, I injured my like wrist. It was just a strain, and thought nothing of it. And it's super cute. So there's the one I got. Can't remember which one this gun is. He's the hawk. He's super cute. But yeah, so I'd injured my arm and thought nothing of it. Same with my leg, thought nothing of it. And then it just never got better. In fact, it started hurting more. And like it really freaked me out because like I've always dealt with pain pretty much since high school because I have fibro. So fibromyalgia sucks, so I have had that. So I had dealt with that already, so I was like, oh, maybe it's just my fibro acting up or something. And then it started getting like really, really painful. I couldn't use that arm, and I did newborn photography, so I had to constantly hold an infant and not want to risk like injuring the infant or like dropping a child or anything. And also just hold the camera and everything. And it was just starting to become really, really challenging. And I also, around that time, was dealing with drama at work because I'm trans. I think I've had a couple people like comment, "Are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, yeah." So if you read like early comments in some of my early videos, yeah, I'm trans. I passed pretty well. So people don't usually ask, but I'm trans. And so I was dealing with work and actually going to therapy and getting my testosterone and getting on that and dealing with the changes and then preparing for surgery. So I wanted to do top surgery. And around that time, I was just dealing with stress at work with the injury, not getting better. So I ended up having like a panic attack at work, which was awful. It sucked. And so, let me put the same one, only it's slightly different. But, so I dealt with that. And so I had to deal with drama resulting from that. So I had to move to a different location and everything. So it was crazy. And just slowly over time too, is also just becoming in more and more pain. So it was really affecting my work. So I'm opening this one now. And it was just really difficult to like focus on work when I was in agony. And then also it was coming around winter and the cold weather, and that affects my fibro. My fibro gets worse, so I was just in general in a lot of pain. And it was just really affecting it. I missed work a lot. I was unable to work as much. I had to go home early. There's some days I could work for maybe an hour, and then I'd have to go home because I'd be in so much pain. I had to take breaks constantly. And it was just really difficult to deal with that. Oh, this lighting's awful. Thank you. Thank you. Doesn't want to go away. The sun's going down. So it's a perfect location to just do this. Can't fix it apparently. But yeah, so I was dealing with all of that, and it was just getting really difficult. And then, at one point, I barely could use my arm or my hand, and I could barely use my leg. And around that time too, COVID hit. So I had to deal with the craziness of COVID and suddenly being out of work because we couldn't work with newborns at a hospital with COVID around. That was like a no-no. Lighting is so... But, yeah, so, I'm gonna try to move apparently. Oops. But, this next one. It's actually one of the ones I really wanted. So, I was dealing with that. And so I was actually kind of a blessing in disguise, though, because it was getting to the point where I was like, can I really be working when I'm in so much pain that I can't work, I can't function? And it's coming to the point where I really can't walk. And so around that time, I finally was talking to doctors, and we were getting looked at, and of course, trying to do a doctor's appointments while COVID's in full run, and not being able to go in person, and trains and buses not running was a nightmare. So delayed it a lot too. Even before that, I'd been calling to try and get appointments for pain clinics and all the other places, and nobody would they'd be like, oh, you're at the wrong location, or okay, call this number, and then I'd call that number, and it was just a run around. It was insane. So got to deal with all that drama, which was insane. And I was just slowly losing more and more function of the limbs, and it was really scary. I kept freaking out and going am I gonna wake up one day? It was a nightmare to basically be oh, am I gonna wake up one day and be paralyzed? Because I was dealing with a lot of issues with the leg, especially being able to use it, and I was because my nightmare would be to be unable to use my limb, period, to be completely unable to use it, is that what's going to happen? Like, am I going to wake up one day paralyzed or unable to use a limb completely and like in a wheelchair and whatnot? And so it was like really complicated to deal with that. And so I did all these tests and everything, did X-rays, MRIs, everything, just to there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. And then I went to PT, and we didn't even have a diagnosis yet. So we had gone to PT, and they're trying to think like, oh, is it a pinched nerve? Because we can't figure out like what connects the two. And I was like, maybe the two are different, and just happen to be in the same. But we were really confused. It was one side, and we weren't certain if anything else was going on that side. Like, I couldn't quite tell if I was feeling anything anywhere else. And so I went to PT, and like immediately they were like, we don't think this is a pinched nerve. It's not acting like that. It's acting like something different. And my mom had already brought up CRPS, but she had brought up like a different acronym for it, like an older term for it. And it was something that like I knew about because of headlines like the suicide disease. And I was like, it kind of sounds like that, but I hope it's not. And then my PT also said, oh, it might be CRPS. And so I was like, and as we like ruled out like all kinds of things, we like did all these tests and ruled out like all kinds of things. We knew like it was leaning towards nerve issues. And then I had the injury. And I actually thought I had injured my leg was bugging me, but I didn't realize I had injured it. I actually just found out recently that I did actually have a message that I had just my ankle shortly before. So I actually did have even a recent injury to that leg. So I went to PT, and we were trying everything. And all the signs are pointing to CRPS, which, if you don't know, which most people don't know, is complex regional pain syndrome. So after we started basically ruling out everything, I went to a back clinic, back specialist, to see if it was like my spine issue, and because you can manipulate my spine and everything, and nothing was fixing it, and nothing was like making it worse. It was just like touch was making it worse. So like just washing my hands, just touching anything made it worse. So just like the act of like stepping on my foot just made it hurt worse, and it already hurt. And luckily, like with PT, it did help a bit. I was at the same time dealing with more pain, so I was losing function, but I was also gaining some function, because before that I couldn't raise my arm fully. I couldn't like do just this. The act of doing this was just, I couldn't get it. It would just go limp. I couldn't quite get it to work, so I'd go like this and couldn't quite get the limb to work. Same thing with my leg. I couldn't get it to like go up a step or like go forward. Like I was trying to walk down the street, and I'd be dragging that limb behind me, and like the further I got, the like more pain I'd be in, and the less I'd be able to like move it. But so we had ruled everything else out, and so I ended up getting the diagnosis of complex regional, or CRPS. And luckily I was around that time also getting on pain meds, and they were starting to work. With the pain meds, I was able to not be in agony, at least, so I'm still like in constant pain, but at least, here's this guy, but I was finally like not in horrible pain, at least, so it was enough pain that I noticed it constantly, but I could at least function. I could at least like not sleep all day, or not just sit on the couch and like be in agony all day. So, yeah, so I had to deal with that. And of course, at the same time, too, I was dealing with that diagnosis and everything. And we were finally, like, we had been delayed to get my top surgery. Um, and so, as I was still, like, getting worse from that and doing PT and everything, and, like, close to finished PT, I finally got the news that, like, hey, top surgery is on, we're good, and we set up a date for it. So, like, shortly before I would have finished my PT, I took a break and went and did my top surgery, recovered, and then returned to PT. Um, and so that was great. And I was like, okay, so like one thing down to at least like make things better, because like I was dealing with like really bad dysphoria, and like with the pain and everything was just adding another thing of just like the stress and everything. So like that was one thing that like went right. So like once that was done, I was like, okay, like one thing done. And of course, like going back to PT, and towards the end of it, we did pool therapy, um, which didn't really do too much with me. It just hurt a lot. Um, and around that time, I was trying to get a wheelchair, um, because it was getting to the point where I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't, like, it hurt so much just to like walk to the kitchen that I then couldn't make it to the end of my driveway. And it was getting close to winter, and I was like, I'd love to get a wheelchair so I can go out, at least outside, because like there'd become a point where I couldn't even go outside other than just to and from PT. And like even walking just to the bus stop was like agony, and I could barely make it, and I'd be like half dead by the time like I got home. And so it was like a lot of drama with that. And so yeah, so I was dealing with that. And um, so winter came, and sadly I didn't get my wheelchair because you had to like, with going through insurance, you had to wait a long time, and it was like just waiting and waiting and waiting. So a lot of waiting, and also filling out paperwork to go on disability, because I was like, well, I can't go back to work. Um, like I can't handle it. Like I'm in too much pain constantly. Like I stopped being able to do many of the things that I love doing, like even just trying to pick up a book and read a book. I couldn't really do one-handed, and like I still can't do one-handed. So I have to like read on my phone or do an audiobook, or and so I'm like hoping to get one of those like bookmark things that like kind of hold up in the page for you, so that I don't have to hold the second page with, so I can just read with the one hand. So once I get like I'm gonna try and see about setting something up so I can actually read a regular book, because I haven't been able to read a regular book in ages. Basically since like beginning of 2020, like I haven't been able to read a regular book because I can't hold it. But thanks to PT, I was able to like at least like move my limbs a little bit better, so I can at least like grab something with this side, to a point. Like once it's stimulated to a certain degree, then it's just in so much pain and doesn't want to move. So I'm sure like in the videos you've probably noticed that like I don't talk with both arms like I used to, like both hands. Like I used to just use both hands and they would be waving around like this arm. And this one's probably been, and like you probably noticed too, like the 2019 when I had the arm brace on that arm. That was because it was just a sprain at that point. Like we thought it was just a sprain, and it wasn't getting better. And invertedly, like me putting the brace on actually made it worse because it was stimulating the nerves to fire because they overreact everything. So that was actually making it hurt more. So I didn't quite know that. So I didn't realize that like gloves or a long shirt and pants or anything would hurt it more. But I quickly like started to realize that that was going on. But so I was like waiting. So like the end of 2020, I was like really dealing with the fact that like I couldn't go out because of COVID, and I also couldn't go out because I just couldn't walk anymore. I couldn't, like around like September, I think it was, we went our last trip to the beach, and like I just barely managed to like drag myself and like push through the pain to walk the beach one last time, because I knew in my heart that like this is going to be the last time I would ever be able to walk the beach, possibly ever. This is going to be the last time to walk the beach on my own power. And so it was like really difficult to deal with that because I love the beach and I love exploring and I love like running around, and like with the fibro and with the brace, like I couldn't do as much, but I could at least like just slowly do it and stuff. And just suddenly being like, oh, I can't walk down the street. I can't just walk that path because it's just too far. Like I couldn't even leave the house. I could like walk to the front door and like maybe walk out to the steps, and that's about it. And so winter hit and we got snow, and like the very last snowstorm was when I got my wheelchair. And I was like so glad to get my wheelchair because it gave me freedom. But of course, like right when I got it was our snowstorm, and we got a lot of snow. And so I had to wait because I couldn't use it. So I was looking at my freedom and staring at it, and I couldn't use it because of all the snow. And my wheelchair couldn't go out in the snow, and I was like, really? So luckily, like the second we had like no snow and I was able to, like I went out, and it was just so amazing to be able to go anywhere, to be able to go to the end of my driveway, to be able to like go down the street. And it was just amazing to be able to like do that. And but like at the same time, it was still like I was coming to terms with being disabled, and like right around the same time that I got, like shortly after I got my wheelchair, I finally got approved for disability, which I'm so thankful that it like didn't take super long to do that. Because I know so many people that like apply for disability, and it takes like way longer than me. So I was like really lucky that like things took a long time, and it was kind of I was in limbo for a while, but compared to other people, it was like so quick. And so it just made it so much easier to like have that off my shoulders, because I had had all this stuff on my shoulders, like, oh, what would happen if like I don't get approved? And also the fact that I had worked enough to get SSDI as opposed to SSI, and there's a big difference between them. And originally they were like saying like, oh, you're going to be getting SSI, and I'm like, but I should have worked enough. So I had to like call, and we had to like, there was like things that had been put in wrong, whatever, and it's like, no, you're getting SSDI. And I'm like, okay, well, I hope so, because I've worked enough. So I was really grateful to that, because my best friend, who's like my sister, she is on SSI, and you can't have more than $2,000 in your bank account. If you're like even $1 over it, you can lose your benefits. You can't get married because same thing. It suddenly is like, well, you've made too much now, so bye. So you're perpetually in poverty, which is awful. Like, it's just not fair at all. So that was like a stress that was like alleviated when I got onto SSDI. So with the SSDI, they don't look at your bank account. They don't look at the money you made. It's more they look at just your medical disability. Like, you're disabled, you won't be able to work full time, and you you can prove that, and you've worked enough and paid into Social Security so that you can get the benefits. And it's still not a lot of benefits. Like, it's not like the price of what you get per month hasn't increased in like ages apparently, but it's still better than SSI. Everybody who's on SSI, I feel for you so much, and it like the system needs to fucking change. But yeah, so it was like a weight off my shoulders at least to like not be in that boat, to be a little bit better than so many people I know. But also at the same time, like dealing with the fact that like this is still new to me. Like, I went from being able to run down the street and bike. I got my big parts of my personality were I was the avid biker, I was the photographer, I loved exploring and collecting like bones and just random crap at the beach, and like loved the beach and loved walking and just exploring the wilderness. And like suddenly I couldn't do that. And even with my wheelchair, like I couldn't go places. So like where I live, the sidewalks are absolutely shit. They are awful. And so the sidewalks are like all cracked, and like there's huge like divots, and like they don't have the cutouts so that you can just like go off. They have just the large, and it's just like why there are like barely any like areas of cutout to be able to like wheel a wheelchair is astounding. And like one day I was going down to one of the graveyards like frequent to take photos. So I was feeling pretty good that day, and I was like, well, with the wheelchair I can actually go out and don't have to worry about the pain because my leg does not have to carry me anymore. It's I can just use the wheelchair, and so it just makes it so much easier. I can do a lot more. I still like can only deal with it so like I can only deal with so much because I do get really tired, because I am still in pain. But at least like not having that to worry about getting there on my own power made it so much easier. So I went down as my first time going down, and I went to go the straight way that I usually go, only to realize that because of the tree roots, the sidewalk is basically like at a huge angle. And I couldn't go. I couldn't use the sidewalk. And I kind of just broke down and cried, and like was like fighting back tears, like because I was just so upset that I didn't have access to things that I used to have access to. And it really made me feel disabled, like because with the chair, like, and the freedom it brought me, I knew I was disabled, but I didn't feel as disabled because I could still like do many of the things just a different way. But this was a really like a big thing that was like you cannot even just go on the sidewalk, and it was just so frustrating. And then like there's another area where I have to like go off-roading, and so if I have because I had saved up money to buy a folding wheelchair, because when I first got my regular chair, it's super heavy. My parents didn't want to put in a ramp in the house. They didn't want to put in anything on their car. So I couldn't take my wheelchair to doctor appointments. So I had to walk in on my own accord and deal with the pain and barely able to do anything. And I was like, well, I really want to be able to go to a doctor's appointment and if I need my chair, use my chair and not have to rely on somebody grabbing me a chair. And especially if I wanted to go out on the bus or go out on my own and I couldn't use my regular chair. And so I had gotten a folding wheelchair, which I love, but it only has 4 wheels instead of the 6 that my normal one has. And my normal one is electric, which I probably will actually just show it off in a video soon. But it is electric, so it has my my little remote, which is great because or my little joystick, which is great because I can't use a regular wheelchair, but it's really heavy, and but that one can at least go off road and more, and that one can handle some of the bigger curbs and stuff. So with my other one I can't. So my other one, my folding one, I can't go off road really easily. It's a lot harder, unless it's nice, and somewhat smooth, and then just can't go up the big things as easy. So it's really frustrating. I wanted to get my boba tea, and just to get there was oh, you can't really get there very easily because there's no sidewalk for a good section. It's just a super wide area of dirt. So it's legit just, and if you follow me on Instagram, I think I've shown stories of me just trying to go on the super wide plank of dirt. And it's why don't you just pave this and make a sidewalk? It's right there. It's already just dirt. And it's lower than most of the road, or even to the roads. To just make a sidewalk. And it's been like that since I've been here. And it's been 6 years now or something. And it's and they're all things that I thought of. Even when I had just my cane, or was using my cane, or using just had my leg brace. And I would comment to myself in my head oh, this sucks that why don't they just make a. But it wasn't until I had a wheelchair that I was really oh, okay, this is awful. So coming on to terms that the world isn't built for people with disabilities, especially those in a wheelchair, because again, I've always had disabilities, but they didn't prevent me from doing most things. So I was able to at least compensate a little bit more. Whereas with this, it's no, I can't compensate. I can't make my chair be able to go places that I can't go. Same thing with stores. If I go, I know now that if I go to a store, there's a chance, or a restaurant, there's a chance I could not get through the door because it won't be wide enough. Or even at my doctor's offices, none of the doors are the majority of the doors, even at PT, the doors are not equipped with a button so you can push it and the door opens. So I had to push my move this arm enough to be able to push the joystick so I could use this arm to open doors. And then try to hold it with my foot as I'm going through and have it bang onto my chair and stuff, because none of the doors are even accessible. And it was just why at a doctor's office where they have a wheelchair ramp and an elevator, is the elevator not big enough to like barely fit my chair? And there's no buttons on the doors, and the doors aren't left open, so I can't easily get into the doctor's office. And like the door is just pushed in either, or just like pushed in or out. You had to like pull it out or like push it up. And it was just like at least it was like a two-sided door where you could just swing it whatever direction. Like that would have been a little bit easier. But no, it was doors like I had to like open up. And I couldn't do it, and like just having to like rely on somebody seeing me. And then like also to like doctor's offices, like the desk is super high, so I would wheel up to the desk and I am too low for them to be able to see me. And I luckily can speak, so I could call to them, and I can get up out of my chair. There have been so many cases of things where I am so grateful that I can get out of my chair enough to push it a little bit, or unlock it, or just stand up enough to grab something. Like I went to the supermarket, and I was using the little buggy thing that they have, and I try to like grab something and it's too low. And luckily I can stand up and grab it, and I'm just like it's difficult for me as somebody who can at least get up out of the chair and walk a little bit. I can't imagine what this world is like for somebody who is stuck into that chair. And it's just like it's really hard. And like I know a lot of people that like have disabilities, and like they have it all like, oh, you have to deal with this, but it's okay, I deal with it. But I don't really see people who, like, especially are like newly disabled, really talking about like how much it sucks, how much it's not fun, how much you wish you weren't disabled, or at least the world was more accommodating. And like I'll see that occasionally, but like, and I hope to see it more, just because I think like it's important to like, because I'm sure I'm not the only person who's like dealing with frustrations of this, especially as someone who's like newly disabled. Like I became fully disabled and on disability in 2020. So it's been a year. And it's been tough. Like I try to stay like positive, and like I'm incredibly thankful for so many things, and looking at like what I benefit from. Like again, I benefit from being able to get out of that chair. I benefit from having fibro beforehand, because I was already used to chronic pain, so I already knew how to, like my body already knew how to somewhat deal with living in constant pain, even though it's just slightly more painful. So it's just a little jump, which I can't imagine. Like, it's kind of interesting reading about this condition from people who have never had chronic pain before, because I can completely understand why it has that super weird, like I kind of hate it, like the name, but it has that name, the suicide disease. And like when I really think about like people who have never experienced pain 24/7, suddenly having this level of pain, and especially with like with me, like it feels like your limb is on fire constantly, and like just a touch, like a brush of like my cat's fluffy tail, my dad's cat's fluffy tail, just brushing on my leg can hurt it. Just the breeze, like a breeze can hurt the limbs. Like if it's a windy day and like my arm will start to hurt just from the wind, or like the leg will start to hurt. Just a pair of pants or a sock or a shoe on that limb hurts. And like luckily, because I've already lived like in chronic pain 24/7 for so long, like I compensated for it a little bit better, and it's like a lot easier for me because my body's just so used to like not letting people know that I'm in so much pain, which did make it difficult with PT and like doctors because they'd be like, "Oh, you look good today. Are you in less pain?" And I'd be like, "Nope, I'm in agony," and because I don't show it because I'm so used to chronic pain, but at the same time, like that helped me because being in this level of pain, if you've never been in pain 24/7, I can only imagine what it's like for one person. Like again, I haven't been free of pain since high school, since my junior year of high school, when I got sick with fibro, when it kicked in. I have not been with that free of pain ever. Like there's no day that I'm free of pain with the fibro. And so that kind of helped me out. Like as sucky as it is, as much as fibro sucks, it's awful, I hate it. I'm grateful for that buffer that it gave me because my body already knew how to help me tune out the pain and not let it completely like overrun me. And like that's so weird to say. It's like weird to say like, oh, I'm grateful that I've lived in pain 24/7 for years, because becoming even more in chronic pain was a little lessened. And it's really weird to say that, but it's like, yeah, it's true. And I've read people have talked about it and just how painful it is, and just how much more painful it is than a fibro. And then anything that, like the only thing that I like react to as if it's more painful, but in reality it's probably not, is when like I'll have sudden pain. Like I ended up going to the ER randomly because I had what we assume is muscle pain. We don't really know what it was, but we thought it was like kidney stones or something, or bladder stones or something. And because it hit like so quickly and just intensely, and it wasn't like a pain I'm used to, I reacted like harder to it. So that was like, and also like part of it was the fact that like I was dealing with that pain at the same time still dealing with this and still dealing with my fibro, because like this side of my body still has a fibro, the rest of my body still has a fibro. So the fibro is everywhere, but these limbs are completely taken over by, like this side is completely taken over by the CRPS, and this side is the achy dull pain of like that muscle pain of the fibro. And so it's definitely interesting to lay at, like if I'm at night, and because usually at night, or like especially if it's rainy or whatever or cold, that like my fibro will act up. So it's really weird to like lay in bed at night if or in the morning, my fibro is acting up, and like this side of my body is dealing with that pain, and this side of my body, like this limb and these two limbs, are dealing with that pain, and it's just like they're so different, but they're so wonderful. But yeah, like I'm so grateful for what I have, and I will never not be grateful for what I have, like the privileges I have in certain regards with things. But it doesn't lessen the fact that like I will have days where it's really hard. It's really hard to know how much has changed, and to like encounter situations where, because of the lack of access, um, I suddenly can't access a place that I used to be able to go to. Like, I go to the beach, and luckily we're planning on going to the beach this weekend, and we're hoping that we can um, rent the beach wheelchair, um, and be able to, so I can actually be able to like use beach wheelchair. I doubt it's going to be one with the electronics, so I'm going to have to be pushed. So I'm going to have to most likely rely on my mom or dad pushing me. Most likely my mom, because she's the only one. And my grandfather can't do it because he is dealing with his medical issues. My dad has his own medical issues. And so my mom's the only one that's like not dealing with medical issues in this household, which is so fun. But yeah, so I'm hoping to be able to do that, because like all the other times I've gone to the beach, besides that last one where I really pushed myself and like regretted it, because to a point regretted it. Like, I'm glad I did it because it was my last time and I wanted to, but I couldn't enjoy walking down the beach because it was legit just pain, and like struggling to like use my limb. So yeah, but at least it was like I did it. I could say I did it one last time because I'm like super stubborn. Well, that's the thing. I'm like so stubborn, and like even like when like I had to like like figure out a way to like open up doors. Am I gonna ask somebody for help to open the door? Usually no, not. I've learned to take it a little bit better, but I still like I try to do as much as I can, even though it's really difficult and it really hurts, and I should ask for help. I don't always do that because I'm just like, oh no, I'm gonna do it myself. I can withstand it. I'm good. I hate asking for help, and like it's really difficult to like get over that and realize like no, you have to ask for help. Um, but yeah, just it's been difficult. So like I hope anybody who's in this situation or like a similar situation to me, um, just know you're not alone. Um, and I know so many people, like, because of COVID and because of 2020 in general, like the shit show that it was dealing with so much. Like, I know there are long haulers. There are people who got COVID and didn't get really sick from it, but now they're dealing with medical issues, and a bunch of them are disabled. And just know that you're not alone, especially in like the feelings of like the negatives and like really not embracing everything that that like you can embrace it a little bit and be positive and everything, but understand that like there is still negatives, and it's okay to have those negative feelings, because honestly, like I know so many people that like just push the negatives aside, and it's like I kind of think it's harmful to just constantly be positive about everything, and like understand that like you can have negative thoughts and negative emotions about things. You can be sad, you can be angry, you can just scream to the sky because you're like, oh my god, can like the world just for once like help me out, or can like and just like when you're dealing with injustice and you're dealing with like stuff, like there's only so much you can take, and I don't think it's not harmful to occasionally give in to those negative emotions, like just a little bit, like acknowledge that they're there. um, but yeah, so I just wanted to like come here and just say that story. If there's anything that you guys, anybody who's watching wants to know or wants me to elaborate, um, feel free to leave a comment. I'm happy to like answer questions and everything. Yeah, I plan on showing my wheelchair. Probably because I know in like these videos I'm posting, I am using my wheelchair. Um, so like, because I have been able to finally go to events, like the art show, and other places with my chair. So of course I'll be in my wheelchair throughout those. But yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and just like explain like what's going on. And just kind of like get it out and like just at the off chance again that like my story and anything that I'm going through, you can relate to, any of you guys can relate to, and anybody can feel a little less alone dealing with something, just knowing that somebody else has been dealing with stuff, and like because I know how great it is to like not feel alone when you're dealing with stuff. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something from it, or you just it, like brought you any bit of comfort or any help or anything. And leave your comments down below. I'd like to try to respond to as many comments as possible. And again, thank you for subscribing. I probably will have to like do something if I get 200 subs, and do something. Maybe like do like a giveaway or something, or like just pick a random subscriber who leaves comments, like one of my prints or something, or do something. So I'll try to figure that out. But yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day. Try to stay positive. Try to as much as you can, but in this case, definitely understand that like it's okay to be negative in some ways as well. It's okay to embrace emotions. But yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, peace out.